We're here, Rift Tuesday, here on Chaos Conversation. And I'm going to go ahead and answer some more questions of y'all. Again, y'all be stopping me, in the street, stopping me online here and there. But again, before I go any further, if you get a chance, just hit the daggone subscribe button, like, share, comment, and feel free to call in as well. As a matter of fact, before we bring our guest on for tonight, I'll let you know we have Ms. Cheryl, and she's gonna be answering some of the questions that again some of y'all been asking because she's been how can I say it? She's been married before. I'm not gonna tell too much of her business, but she'll be able to answer your questions a lot better, if not just as good as I am. Because the way I answer them, I mean, how can I say it? The way I be answering y'all questions out and about, out in the street, is different than when I answer them here because I've had more time to think about it. I mean, when I answer them out there in the street, it's the best answer that I've either experienced that I'm giving you, but I want y'all to also get others' experience who have been in the same situation of what you guys are asking about. But the main three topics that I was going to talk about and touch on today are once again doing a mental health check on the person you are serious about having an exclusive relationship with, or one you're serious about marrying, being with for the long haul. That's one thing we're going to touch on. Another thing is doing a credit history check on the person. Once again, based on how serious you are about having that person in your life for the long haul and how serious he or she is about, being with you. Because again, times are shifting, times are changing. So this is just ways a lot of relationships are evolving. Not that bad here on the East Coast, but on the West Coast, from what I've heard and people I've talked to, they are evolving in a lot of different ways. The last way is understanding what unequally yoked means. Unequally yoked is not meaning equally yoked. That's not what it's referring to. Okay, and I don't know how many times I can say that. Just because some of you all like to live by the Bible, again, respect, but unequally yoked does not mean equally yoked. Okay, and for one thing, the guest who said she'll be on today, Miss Cheryl, she might be a bit behind. Howsoever, I'm still going to go ahead and move forward and give you all a breakdown. Once again, I'm going to start with the mental health check part because that's one reason I'm still single. And you guys will wonder, well, why are you giving this marriage advice and couple advice if you're still single? And once again, I could have been married by now because I've had women who want to marry me. However, I'm in it for the long haul. I'm not in it to just try and then marriage don't work out and divorce. That's not the way I'm trying to roll. And then I've had women shy away from me who want to marry me, but once they find out, hey, I want a child of my own, that is. And she'll be like, well, I can't give you one, so I think we should just go different ways, and which I can respect that. But going back to the first topic, mental health issues. I touched on this a little bit before. A lot of y'all who are talking on social media, putting all your business out there, and then some of y'all who again stop me in the community, which is fine. And I sit down and I just ask you, have you done the mental health check? A lot of you are not that familiar on how to do the mental health check. My fault. Excuse me. There's a lot of ways to do a mental health check because there's so many different kinds of mental health issues that are out here. So there's not just one answer fits all. That's not the way it works. Okay. And then another thing is, for example, you cannot, let's just say you yourself, you have some childhood trauma that eats you up, right? Just because you have a little bit of childhood trauma, that does not mean you will be able to take in another man or woman who's bipolar or who may be schizophrenic. That's not what that means. You might be able to relate to some of the issues he or she has if they have a mental health issue like they're schizophrenic or they're bipolar or they're narcissistic. They're narcissistic as I don't know what. You might have some things in common, but that does not mean you will be able to fully relate to him or her as they have mental health issues that you're not familiar with. And a lot of times that's what keeps happening when I see people. I mean, I'm happy for them, and I see people, and after they've given me all this spiel about what's going on in their life, I'll ask them that one question, and the minute I hear no, or the minute they don't answer the question, that is what shows me, that is what tells me there was more than likely no mental health check done on the person. And here's one way. Okay, this is just one. One thing you will find a lot of people who have mental health issues, one thing they all have in common is they will always blame another party. They will not take full responsibility for what went wrong. They will only take responsibility and expect praise for what went right, coming from them or going on around them. Again, that's just one sign. That isn't. I'm not saying all people who have mental health issues are gonna act and be like that. I'm just saying that's normally one sign. So you think about it. You out here, and let's say, ladies, he takes you out for dinner. Okay, fellas, let's say she, I don't know, meets you at the bowling alley or something for a date. When a man or a woman, and there's no right way. This is just questions you got to ask, conversations you got to have while you're, normally before you go on a date. Normally when you're talking to the person about whatever, about what you see on TV, about what's going on in life, what went on at work, how's your day. It's just questions you got to ask. But one thing, people who have mental health issues, I don't care which one it is, they will very, very rarely take full responsibility for what goes wrong or what, if something doesn't go his or her way. Now, when they show you that sign, I'm not saying to give up on the person right away. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I am saying, though, is that you have to just, again, make a little small note and then also try to keep track of how many times you're hearing that from this person. How often are they blaming you for not picking up the phone or not returning their text or not doing something? And if they're always that negative, that's also another sign that they have a bit of trauma going on in their life. There's a bit of damage beyond repair, or they still have some childhood trauma going on that they never got they never got resolved. And some people, not everybody, some people just have what's called damage beyond repair done to them. Now they may say some things y'all like, okay, just because ladies, he says something to you you like, oh, you got pretty nails, or you look nice today with it. Just because he said that doesn't mean drop your guard and act like there's no mental health check that needs to be done any further. And he's also he may be consistent at it. Fellas, when a woman is when she has, again, mental health issues, mental health problems, mental health things going on, she's not always going to show it. That's just the way they are. They normally will wait until they get you into a unique spot where it's just you and them. They tell you everything you want to hear. But again, mental health checks are one of the most important, overlooked factors in relationships. And I've touched on that plenty of times. That's one thing, chaos conversation. That's one thing we've been talking about here ever since January of this year. And hopefully a lot of y'all tuning in and if y'all stay tuned, you'll hear that mental health checks, they are something to consider. Again, fellas, we know she's got, the finest shape you've probably seen in years. Okay, good. Okay, ladies, we know he's the man of your dreams and he tells you everything you want to hear. Still, those are not reasons to overlook doing the mental health check. And as you're doing it, try to get to know his or her family. That's why if they invite you to a cookout or anything to come see their family, they probably won't do it right away because everybody's at different stages in their life, in their relationships, and their dating stage. But however, I mean, try to be around the family. Whenever you get a chance to be around the family, that's a good time to go around the family and don't try to just go there and like call them out. Hey, does this person have mental health issues? Like, nah, you just listen for the signs. And if here's one sign, again, this does not fit all the signs of people who are, I mean, all the people who have who may or may not have mental health issues. Okay, but one other clue, one other way of doing a mental health check is, does this person, how often are they blaming others? Whether it's blaming traffic for, hey, the back of they're not doing this or they're not driving this way, and that's why he or she is driving the way they are because they're blaming somebody around them. That's again one sign. And a lot of us we hear that sign. We're in the car riding shotgun, or we're the ones driving. And let's say, fellas, you're the one driving, and your woman who happens to have a mental health issue. Let's say she's riding shotgun, and she's the one talking to the traffic. She's the one blaming traffic. She's the one blaming everything on everybody but herself. Like, I don't know. I've known women who want to do a lot of crazy things while riding passenger, while riding shotgun, and she still wants to blame everything, everyone going just, passing her or behind her, or, even though she's not driving. So again, there's a lot of signs. I can't go through all of them. But again, mental health checks are, in this new millennium that we live in, they are almost a must. And when you, the man, or you, the woman, are not or do not do the mental health check on the person you are serious about, living with for the long haul, when you don't do that mental health check, you cannot blame anybody but your damn self. It's just that simple. You can't blame her. You can't blame him when you messed around. You done slept with him or her. You done committed to him or her. You done married him or her. And the next thing you know, everything goes down the drain. Everything just blows up in your face. Next thing you know, maybe a child comes along. Your feelings are all caught up in everything. And next thing you know, all you want to do is point the finger. So I'll let you know. Pointing the finger is not going to do anything. Once again, taking full responsibility for your actions. You're the one who wanted to, be with that person. Okay, well, doing a mental health check on your mate or partner is just like a boss doing it's like a boss doing a criminal background check on someone before he or she hires him or her. It's almost a must, and it is a must for a lot of the jobs out here. I can't think of one job that don't do a criminal background check. There may be a couple of them out here that don't. I mean, there's only a few of them that do, and based on what they see on your criminal background, where they hire you. For example, Amazon. I know I've had several drivers I spoke with who say Amazon may hire you as long as you haven't killed nobody. Okay, so there's some things, but again, doing a mental health check on a young lady, fellas, it's gonna matter. I know she probably got the finest body you've seen in a lifetime. And then after a kid may come, or after you don't both y'all that got emotions evolved or whatever, or you guys decide to become exclusive, trust me, it's gonna play a factor before you turn around saying, "Oh man, why she tripping?" Hey, a lot of times, fellas, she'll give you the signs. You may not want to hear them, you may not want to see them, you may not even want to pay him no attention, but she'll give you the signs. And here comes our guest right here. And you know what? There's our guest there. Sure.
Good
How
evening.
you doing? How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm all right. I'm all right. I was just talking to the audience just now about even though we have three topics we're going to touch on, which is doing the mental health check, um, understanding what unequally yoked is, and even doing a credit history check on your partner, on the woman or man you want to have an exclusive contract with. I was just talking before you joined us. I was just talking about how important it is on doing a mental health check on the person you can before you sleep with them, commit to them, or marry them. What's your take on that, though?
Well, actually, nowadays, that's the
Uh-huh.
most, yeah, that's the most important thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
she didn't
we
hear what I
used,
said earlier. She didn't even hear. She did not hear what I said earlier. Okay, but she said one of the most important things because it's a new millennium.
yeah, I feel like it's the most important because I think that's what mostly, a lot of relationships are torn apart due to um, folks not knowing or having knowledge of their person's mental health capacity. You know,
Mm-hmm.
we've not known a lot about mental health nowadays. Everybody, well, not everybody, but people are conscious of the fact that you need to check into your mental health just like your physical health. Both are equally as important. So for us not to consider that while choosing a partner in life is not good.
Mm. Explain. Now, I'm just curious. Have you had any experience of being with those who have mental health issues?
Oh well, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so again, because a lot of people are like, okay, well, they want somebody who can. Now, have I been in some before? Yes, I have. But because yours have been a little bit deeper, a little bit more experienced. Now, again, the audience wants somebody who's had the most recent experience. What can you share with them are signs or ways to do a mental health check on someone? Because what I was telling them before you hopped on was not every mental health issue is the same. So there are a lot of symptoms, a lot of signs and clues, but there's not a one answer fit all.
No, it's not, because you want to know, uh how well, because when you think about wholeness or
Yep.
wellness, the mental part is a big part. In my opinion, is 50% or even more. um
More than me.
Again, and the way that you check into that is you watch a person's, I guess the biggest thing is behaviors and patterns. That's the biggest thing. Oh, he waiting for me. Excuse me. Hold on, bro.
Okay, one thing I was telling the audience was is when the party, it doesn't matter what mental health issue they have, is when the party does not want to take full responsibility for what's going on to them or what's going on around them, and then they're always blaming the other party.
And
That's
there are so many signs.
mhm,
You'll see that behavior early on while dating. I mean, to be honest, if you know what to look for.
mhm,
That's the thing.
yep.
You've got to know what to look for, and you've got to, when you see the behaviors and the patterns, uh, you've got to believe that that's what's happening. You know what I mean?
That's not
Uh,
always a sign to just give up on the person, is it?
no, it's a sign. It's a sign that lets you know that this person, this is who that person is, and they're not going to change for you.
Mhm.
That's the reality.
That's a, they're showing you a habit of who they are, though. Correct?
Yeah, they'll show you.
Lord have, Lord
Yeah,
have mercy.
their
See? We try to
habits
help.
and behaviors.
We try to help y'all out, man. Because again, this is her and I speaking from experience. This ain't just us guesstimating at it either. This is speaking from experience. And now, sure, do you mind sharing with them the time frame that you experienced that?
What do you mean, time frame? I've had many experiences.
I
I've
guess
been single.
I'm
I'll
saying the
say it this
two.
way. I'll say it
Yeah.
this way. I've been single now for almost 5 years,
Okay.
and I've been married in combined 30 years. So I've had plenty of experience in that area. You know what I mean?
Okay. So again, I want the audience to hear from you for themselves because a lot of them who ask me, well, you haven't experienced it. And I said, listen, I haven't experienced it in being married with a woman. I have experienced in dating and in being in committed with relationships. That's where I experienced it from. That's not the main reason we, grew apart or went different ways though. But that part there being said is just that, hey, that's like Cheryl said, and like I've been telling y'all, a lot of y'all who just want to overlook it because she's cute or he's fine wine, whatever the case. A lot of y'all who get caught up in that, once again, you can't blame the other party. You got to take full responsibility for your damn self and blame yourself for not doing a good enough check on them.
That's right.
That's just the way it is.
Can
Now,
you can you hear me, Bruce?
yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, yeah, that's absolutely right. Well, I don't like to. I just, when it comes to blame, I don't like that word. That's a bad word to me. But you have to hold yourself accountable and
Yeah,
understand, though, that you have to do your checks and balances. You've got to know what's going on with your person, not just. I just want to name a couple of things that we generally look at.
go
we
for it.
ge- we generally look at the person's appearance.
Yeah.
That's the first thing that catches us. Secondly, we look at, the person's status.
Mm-hmm.
We want to know how much they make annually. We want to know a little bit about the family, even though they can have really terrible relationships with their family, and we'll just override that. But that is something to pause and to pay attention to. those are the things that we look at. We pay attention to whether or not what the person's religious preference is. How, we pay attention
Oh,
to that.
that's our next topic too.
Oh, really?
We're gonna touch on
Um,
that.
and those are the things that we generally look for, because that's what I did. That's
Hmm.
what I see a lot of people looking for that. And then some people, on the other hand, they don't. They are basically they judge a person two ways: their energy and their looks, and
Uh-huh.
that's it. And they go for it.
Especially the fellas. I ain't gonna lie, fellas are.
Really?
I mean, if a lot of men, this is not every man, but a lot of men, if we don't find the physicalness attractive, then at certain stages in our career, 20s, 30s, and 40s are all different. When we don't find the physical attraction, we normally won't make the move. We normally won't shoot our shot. Now, sometimes it used to be back in the day when the internet was just coming out. I mean, when they had the CD AOL CDs coming through the mail, you had some people who would just get on the website, and because they were typing and the conversation went pretty well, they would meet the person at a bar, at a restaurant, or wherever. But then the way they described themselves, it wasn't who they thought it was, and some men would just, or some women would just, leave or just never go back to that person again because of how visual they are or what they were expecting from the other party. And so that right there in itself is, again, I'm trying to answer all the questions. They be messaging me, be texting me, and stopping me in the community, but it's hard to, because these three top. But like Cheryl was saying, like I've been saying, you don't do the mental health check. Just take responsibility and take it as a life learned lesson. Don't even look at it as a loss, and don't even try to get all mad and upset or even with that person either. Just take it as a lesson and move on. But again, everybody is at different stages of their careers where you ain't got so much time.
Can
But
I can I say this too?
what?
This is another area that Bruce. Can
Yeah,
you hear
go
me?
ahead. We can hear you.
This is another area that I feel like a lot of people don't
What's
pay
that?
attention to, and that's the emotional
Oh,
intelligence, which is that
we just lost you for a second. Okay, I'm not sure what happened with on her end, but what Cheryl just touched on was the emotional intelligence part. And as soon as we get her back, um, you know, I'll let her speak up. But one thing about the emotional intelligence part is this right here, ladies and gents. The emotional intelligence part is when he or she might not quite make you, but they might cause you to live outside the norm of the way you're used to living. And when they do that, I mean, ladies, when they do that, that don't mean he's intimidated by you one bit. Okay, we can hear you now, Cheryl. Go ahead.
Bruce, are you still there?
Yeah, we still here. We can hear you now. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So that emotional intelligence piece. Now, I just want to say this, um, because this has been my experience.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, when a person when a person can't meet you emotionally, right? It's one of the worst situations to be in, especially in a marriage, because life happens,
Yep.
right? When life happens, then you need somebody who is there, who cares about you, and you know what I'm saying, and your children. You need somebody there, whether it's male or female, doesn't matter. It's the same. Men marry women with no emotional intelligence, and they really don't care much about their husbands. They
Yep.
just want a roof over their head, clothes on their back. They want to be taken care of. That's it. They're not going to do anything extra special for him. They don't even care about him. And
Someone
that's
just
the
want
whole
that
truth.
title too.
Huh?
I said some women just want that title too.
Yeah. Well, it's because of the status.
Yeah, that. I mean, it's title. Yeah.
Yeah, because they want their friends and their college girls to look. I got a husband too, but it's not. I promise you, I've been servicing women for 36 years. I'm telling you, you're going to end up losing in the end. It's not worth it. serious. It's
Okay.
not, because if a woman is that way and she has a husband, he's going to find a woman who is emotionally intelligent, and he will leave her eventually. He
Just,
will.
just curious, do you mind sharing with the audience what kind of ways you service these ladies?
What do you mean service him?
Well, that's what you said. You've been servicing ladies for 30 years. So,
Oh, you want to know what my career is?
sure, why not?
Yeah, cosmetology.
Okay, so y'all hear that? That, in case y'all don't know, just like fellas, when we go to the barber shop, for those men who do, those are deep conversations. Those are not just, bits and pieces of it. Those are, I mean, you're sitting in a chair for how long? About 30 minutes to an hour average?
No, my God, no. Way longer than that.
Okay,
Um,
so I mean, those are deep, long conversations you're having with these women, correct?
yeah, for 36 years.
Okay, so there y'all go. Y'all asking, well, where's the experience? Where's the proof? Where's the receipt? How damn it? What we just told you.
Oh,
We just
well, yeah, my life, I got plenty of personal receipts. I've been,
okay,
like
okay,
I said, though, 2 marriages together, that's 30 years of,
okay.
of
Again,
living and loving and learning, and not, you know what I mean?
yeah.
So, yeah, the emotional, okay, for instance, I'll give you an example. I have a client who works at the cancer center.
Okay.
And you can Google this. A lot of times when women come down with cancer, they realize, maybe not for the first time, but they really get the full picture that
Hmm.
they are dealing with someone who has no emotional capacity. They don't have no empathy for them, because they're not going to go with you to chemo. They're
Yep.
not going to support you while they're sick. They might even, the woman might get so sick that the husband will divorce her right in the sickness,
I've known that.
and speak to her and let her know, I don't deserve this and I deserve to be happy, and then let you know that I've moved on already. Like, that's when people realize that this person that they've been in a marriage with never really loved them at all. They don't have the capacity to. They never did. So emotional intelligence, mental illness checks, is what everybody, you just can't afford not to do it. And if you know what I mean, you got to do your homework. You got to do it.
And see that's another thing when everybody's so fast to jump the broom, but it says for better or for worse. Some people don't even know what that means. And then in the process of doing the mental health check, one thing a lot of and hopefully you be able to break this down for them as well, because I was going over this right before you hopped on. Being and for those who are religious, and while they're doing the mental health check, some of them will stumble upon, well, we're equally yoked. And a lot of people I feel are mispronouncing what they are, where they're getting that from, which is normally the Bible, because that's not what it says. It says not to quote unquote, be with one who is unequally yoked, is what it says, and what I understood it to say. Correct me if I'm wrong, though.
I can't.
Well, isn't that what it says? It says not to be with one who is unequally yoked. It doesn't say to be with one who is equally yoked.
Well, as I remember it, it's saying that two people
Mm-hmm.
being equals or compatible.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I feel like back in the day, like, well, I feel like some people look at it like as one thing, but actually, like what we're describing, it's a layered thing. Is your person emotionally intelligent? Do they understand, and believe and have the same core values that you have, the type of morality that you have? Did they come from a toxic family where mom and dad didn't know how to love and support each other? Or have they come from a
Yeah.
well-rounded family? I'm telling you,
Yeah. And it's,
that
that
one.
part of the part of being unequally yoked is Second Corinthians, chapter 6, verse 14.
Okay, well, quote it exactly how it's written. Let me
Yeah.
hear.
Okay. Well, the way it has here, let me see. This is not the actual Bible verse, though. I was just what I did was I just Googled it real quick, and that's pretty much what it says. It's not giving me, yeah, it's not giving me the exact scripture of it. It just told me what scripture it was in. So I'm not going to misquote the Bible for that, you know.
Basically, yeah. So again, it's basically saying marry your own. That is so that is
Okay.
okay.
For some reason,
And
Cheryl, your phone was breaking up, so we didn't quite hear much of what you said.
oh, I said for instance, saying I think it's saying to marry your own kind, whatever that is. And for example, I said narcissists and empaths are not equally yoked. They're not, but they are really super drawn to each other, very much so. But it's a terrible, terrible relationship dynamic because
Oh, we just lost her. Okay, I mean that's probably just some technical difficulties we have, but well, she's having pretty much all I was going to touch on, being with one who is unequally yoked. In the Bible, for those of y'all who like to follow the Bible, I mean that's fine. Respect to you. What is specifically, to me, speaking of, from what I'm understanding, is spiritually unequally yoked. Because in case a lot of y'all may not know or keep up with it, the yoke is what goes around the not the bull, well, what goes around the four-legged animal's neck. That's a yoke. Okay. Here she is trying to get back with us. Let me see if it lets her in. Let me see. Can you hear us now?
yes, it just I don't. I'm in on the back roads. It kicked me out.
Well, okay. I mean, if you can hang around, the city for as close as long as you can, hopefully you won't, lose the signal. The city won't be that bad to you.
Well,
But
let me just finish this last point
yeah,
that I
yeah,
was.
go ahead with it.
Okay, so I was speaking on the narcissist and the empath, one being a taker. And look, this is a growing dynamic. Well, it's always existed, right?
Hmm.
But now we see, we look back through the pages of time, and you see countless couples that are like this. So you got one that's a chronic giver, and then you got the other who's a chronic taker. You got
Hmm.
one who's always taking all the love, all the everything, and the other person who's super giving. But people say, Cheryl Grabowski, it fits like a hand in glove. I said, no, it doesn't. Because the giver and the person with the empathy will never get it reciprocated back. Because the narcissist or the toxic person or the broken person doesn't have the capacity. And I don't care how much money they have, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
So, yeah.
That and see. So tell me, break it down for the audience, break it down for the people, because a lot of people feel, oh, he's I like to sing. Oh, well, he's in the music industry. Oh, we're equally yoked. But that's not to me what for those who like to follow the Bible and quote that scripture, to me it's a bit out of control. Quote it all in so many ways in their favor. Is that specifically what it's talking about when, from what you understand? Because to me, it sure as hell is.
What, the equally yoked?
Yeah, that's the people always saying equally yoked, but that's not what
Well, when they say it in a religious context, they talking about being two Christians,
mm,
two people being Christians. So Christians shouldn't marry a Muslim. You know what I mean? That's
mm,
what they started off saying. Now they added things to it, but
yeah.
that was the foundation. Like, and I've seen it on television shows and in my real life all the time, where people, uh, parents get bent out of shape because they don't want their children to marry somebody outside of their faith. Like, they have a fit. You know what I mean? They just need, like, if you're a Christian, they just need you to be a follower of Jesus Christ and you subscribe to that. Like, that's what is very important to them.
Mm-hmm. Because see, that's and the more I keep hearing people, like I had a guy and a guy approached me, but his girl was, him and I sat there just chatted until his girl came out of the shopping center, getting shoes or whatever she was buying. I'm not sure, but after she saw us and she joined in, I kept hearing them both quote, "We're equally yoked, we're equally yoked, we're equally yoked." I'm like, okay, I respected them, but I didn't want to, debate too much on that. But what I said is, all I asked was this question: where are you guys getting this from? that you are equally yoked. And they're like, the Bible, we go to this church, we do this, And I was, all right, cool. I was like, can one of y'all show me? And one of them happened to have this app on their phone where they pulled up the scripture. And I said, oh, you guys have been living by equally yoked, equally yoked, equally yoked. But what does that say right there? And they both said, it says unequal. I said, okay, you guys are assuming it means equally. And I gave them my breakdown of what unequally yoked. I was like, well, one thing, neither one of you all are four-legged animals. A yoke is what goes around your neck. Now, if one of you are, to me, when I read that, what it's saying is, don't be with one who's unequally yoked. It is speaking spiritually, but also since people are so physical, like we just spoke earlier, a lot of people are so physical. I'm like, okay, it's saying that don't be with one who's unequally yoked, meaning one is missing a front right leg, and the other one may be missing a back left leg or something. That is still to me not completely unequally yoked, because they can't go anywhere but left, right, or whichever. But at the same time, when I talk to people who are saying, well, why would you not want to be with someone who's unequally yoked? Because check this out: if you have a woman who believes in being a stay-at-home parent, why would she want to be with a man who's unequally yoked, or as many people put it, equally yoked, and doesn't want to work either? He wants to be a stay-at-home parent. Is that really what? Because when people keep saying equally yoked, well, that's equally yoked. You both want to stay home, be stay-at-home parents, and not work. That's equally yoked. But to me, that makes no sense. I don't know how to raise a family anyway. Can you still hear us? We can't hear you. Sure. Okay, but anyway, as soon as we hear from her, I'll let you guys know. But again, that's being with someone who's equally yoked. If you are not good at cooking, and the other person is equally yoked and not good at cooking, you guys really want to be with someone who's like that, equally yoked to not cooking, either party. Let's say you're not good at budgeting. You really want to be with someone who is, again, as you all keep saying it and putting it, equally yoked, and they're not good at budgeting either? Because I know I wouldn't. I mean, we still, for whatever reason, Cheryl, we still can't hear you. But feel free to kick in whenever you can. But still, you all are the ones who keep saying equally yoked, equally yoked, equally yoked. I mean, that's why, again, the Bible also states, for those of y'all who follow it, it also states not to change anything or arrange. Well, it doesn't say not to arrange anything, but that's what a lot of you all do. You arrange it in your favor, and then wonder why it's not working. And once again, what else is out here? Again, you can't cook, you can't budget, but you all keep saying you want someone, or you're with this man, this woman, because you all are both doctors, or you're both in the music industry, or you both were single parents, and because of that, you all just want to run around saying you're equally yoked, you're equally yoked. Once again, that's not what the Holy Word says. It says specifically, again, just quoting, not to be with one who is unequally. Here's the best way I can put it. You don't want to be with someone who is, you're both equally yoked on making money. But they sell drugs to make their money. You serve people to make money. That, to me, is unequally yoked. Some of y'all may want to make note on that. That is unequally yoked. If you believe in, let's say you believe in, you're a person of integrity. You're a person of love. You're a person of all these good things. But they're unequally yoked, and they're the opposite. They're not of integrity. They're not of passion for the people. They're not of any of the things that you are that matter in life. That is unequally yoked. And again, after doing the mental health check and then understanding, that is, and for a lot of people, it's confusing. So it's like, okay, which way do you want to go? You really want to be with someone who can't budget, and you can't budget. Once again, that's unequally yoked, but you still want to be with that person. Really? It's like, to me, I feel a lot of you all have to do a little bit more homework and understanding and study on what that means. I mean, sure, have you had a chance to join us back yet? Or can you hear us? Because we still can't hear you. Okay, that's all good. But at the same time, yeah, understanding what unequal, if you're going to follow it and apply it, understanding what unequally yoked means, try to do it while you're dating, while you're talking on the phone with a person. Try to, pick their brain, try to feel them out. And I mean, just because, ladies, he tells you what you want to hear, that does not mean he's the one. That does not mean, okay, put your heart out there to him, because who knows what's going to happen to you from there, just because he's telling you. I'm always saying it all the time. Go by what his or her actions are, because I mean, anybody can tell y'all anything. And like me, this is just what I live by. I don't go by what you say, I go by what you do. But again, we're going to leave that alone, because I'm not going to go in too much detail on what the Holy Word is saying when it says to consider being with one who is unequally yoked, or don't be with one who is unequally yoked. I'm not going to go in detail because of the time frame we have. What I am going to do is touch on, and hopefully this will answer all the questions that, again, you guys be asking on social media, everywhere else. And that is, how important is doing a credit history check on someone. Once again, sure, if you care to chip in, or tune in, just let me know. But doing a credit history check on someone says a lot about them. It says a lot about them. Now, if you're in your 20s and 30s, you may not have to. But when you're 35 plus, and when you're ready to get married, I will say this: a credit history check does say a lot about the person. It's not going to show you everything about him or her. But when you're at a stage in your life where, hey, you're ready to buy a car, get a house, I mean, even some jobs now do credit history checks on consumers before they hire them. Not all of them, but a lot of them do. But in a relationship, what's it showing you of doing a credit history check on a man, on a woman? I don't know the three credit bureaus by heart, but I do believe TransUnion, they look at the history that you have of, with your credit. Um, let's see, Experian, I believe they look at the dollar amount that each one of your credit cards is. But then Equifax, I believe they look at um, how well you are paying your bills on time based on what's on your credit. I mean, cell phone bill, credit card, whatever. So each one is different. But I will say this: when you doing a credit history check on someone, this normally is there's no need to do one until you have either an exclusive relationship with that person, or you're committed to that person and you can see yourself marrying him or her in the next month to 8 to 10 months, or possibly within a year to 2 years. That's normally when a credit history check is needed. I mean, sure, have you had a chance to get back with us? So we still can't hear you. But all right, it's all good. It's all good. But again, speaking from experience, and a lot of times, let's say you're 40, you're like me, you're 42 plus, and the next person you're going to be with is the person you can see yourself marrying. Everybody's timing is different. For me, my limit is normally 6 months of dating, 6 months of commitment to see if we're meant for each other, if we have enough connections, chemistry, and things in common. That's enough time for me to know if we are a good fit for each other. So and then from there on, I'm not going to come out on the second, third, fourth. I'm not going to come out to her while we're dating, talking about I need to do a credit history check on her. No, I'm going to wait till there's commitment, to there's the right time, and then ask her, does she mind sharing it with me? Now, based on her reaction, we'll also do. It's not going to dictate my complete reaction towards her or my feelings for her, or any of that. It is going to make me go in. It's going to make me go in from drive into neutral with her as far as the relationship is concerned. Because when the person doesn't want to share with you their history, there is a little bit to hide. Sometimes they just say, "Well, it's none of your business." Oh, okay. Well, I'm trying to do business with you. Called marry you, woman. So yeah, I mean, my business is going to be yours. But a lot, and you have a lot of people like me. I'm not scared to show mine because I know how mine is. I know what my habits are when it comes to paying bills and saving money, do everything else that you need to do. But anyways, doing a history check. I mean, you don't have to know their social. All you have to do is have them create a like Credit Karma is not accurate, but create them some free accounts that show their credit history. That's really like how many student loans they have, how many doctor bills they have, how well. I mean, you could look at their history when it shows. Well, these are how you pay. Okay, how are you paying things on time? Okay, they're good, they're excellent, they're poor, they're whatever. That's again, it's a factor because again, you're showing them the person showing you who he or she is. And then what's another one? Yeah, it's like how well of a like do they have it goes back to their history. It's not going to tell you everything about the person. Just like doing the mental health check, it's not going to tell you everything about the person. But okay, you have credit card. How long have you had this credit card? How long have you had this account? Oh well, closed, 8 months after you got it. Okay. Well, how long have you had this account? Okay, well, I've had about 4 or 5 other accounts I've had for over 10 years. Okay. Well, how well have you made the payments on? Because again, it's going to be showing you, do they have excuses why they haven't paid? Or why they closed the account? Or why they're going to, in this relationship? I mean, it'll show you a lot about the person. Once again, this is nothing you have to play around with until after you and him have committed to each other. And again, you'll have people who like, well, that ain't none of your business. They don't want you to see it, like I said earlier. But depending on how serious both of you all are about moving forward, um, that's really, again, it's something that you want to look into. Those are the three main things we talked about here on Chaos Conversation: mental health check, credit history check, and also understanding what unequally yoked means. Those are the three things, and I'm trying to answer all the conversations I had with people, since the last show. We had some technical difficulties on last show. When a person does not want you to see their credit history, that doesn't mean brush them off, by the way. That doesn't mean try to find, because I know how a lot of us are, try to find a reason to leave him or leave her. And like Cheryl was saying, everybody's at different stages. Everybody's at different stages, different points of their career in their life, where some are just ready to get married, and that's fine. After 4 or 6 months of dating, they've only been committed for 2 or 3 months, and they're ready to get married. I mean, hey, what works for one is not going to work for all. However, doing to me, I feel as though a man and a woman should always pass. Again, the three topics we just touched on: the credit history check, mental health check, and understand what unequally yoked means. When he or she cannot pass one of those three things, that is when I feel it's time to again come off of drive mode with that person and go into neutral. I'm not saying I'm not saying hit reverse. I'm not saying you got to park it and abandon the committed relationship we have. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is take time when you run into a hiccup and you've done one of those, and let's say you've done one of those checks and they haven't passed. That's just a little small hiccup. Now, whether you want to stay with that person and help that person better themselves in that area, that's where the ball is going to be in your court. That's where it's going to be up to you. But again, don't sit there and point the finger, because when you sit there and point the finger, it says a lot about you indirectly. All right, and that's just again here on Chaos Conversation. There's just so many times a lot of y'all may disagree with what I'm saying, and that's fine. But I'm just telling you what's worked for me. It hasn't brought me any stress. Hasn't had me depressed one bit or none of that. I mean, there's women where I do a background and I do mental health checks on them. I can say from experience, this is this year too, about two of them, only about two of them, they had mental health issues. And I gave us space and I gave them time to go get therapy or better themselves, but she didn't want to, or she didn't see a need to, or she just straight up didn't do any development at all. And so I reached back out to her. After I reached back out to her and I seen she did no work to herself, I said, you know what? I kind of just let her go. I let them go. Again, because those are flags on the play. And a lot of times, a lot of people, a lot of you all will just ignore the flags on the play, or what you will do sometimes is pick up the flag on the play and keep moving with that person. But if you feel you have that much time in your life, you can mess around with this person, that person for, and waste your best prime years. I mean, go for it. It's your life. Do what you want. I'm just telling me, I choose not to because I'm on, again, 42 and I'm getting up there to the point where most women by my age, their biological clock has stopped ticking for them for her to be able to give birth to a child. Not every woman, because there are a few of them out there that the oldest I've ever known a woman to give birth to a child was 44. Personally, I'm not saying there's women who haven't exceeded that, but 44 has been I've only known one woman to give birth to a child at 44. Don't know how she did it, but hey, I guess the right one came in her life. But hopefully, here on Chaos Conversation, again, feel free to like, subscribe, comment. Oh, and one thing I forgot to do is if you guys ever want to dial in, all you got to do is just give us a call at 984-464-0688. And, we'll have y'all speak to the crowd, on speaker. Because, I mean, a lot of guests like Cheryl, they have experience. Um, um, I've had Miss Short up here, and she's been married for 40 years. I've had another classmate friend of mine, Tabitha, here. She's had her success in raising a cute little daughter. I think she's 3, but what works for her is open relationship and co-parenting. Again, everybody's different. Not everybody at every stage, and she's she's older than me by I think a year or two, but everybody's relationship. Again, what works for one is not going to work for all. That's why I try to have a lot of guests on here that can share with you all their experience of being married or having a child or whatever the case is, so y'all can relate to it. And hopefully you guys can go back and watch this video before you decide to reach out to me and expect me to have all the answers you're looking for, while I'm at lunch or I'm in the community or here on social media. But yeah, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and touch on one other small topic. I wasn't, planning on this, but we're going to touch on one other small topic, and that is, again, as these seasons are changing and as time is evolving, again, the cost of living going up. One thing else I want to touch on, because again, I've had women feel like men are not men if we don't do these things. Ladies, this is just one thing for you all to understand. And fellas, you ain't got to, feel like you're less of a man if you don't apply all these. Everybody's always saying, well, this is what you're supposed to do. Well, my first question to you, a lot of y'all who are saying that is, who says it's supposed to be that way? If you're only going to go by, again, the holy word, when you want to, when it's in your favor, men like me are not always going to, buy into it. A lot of young ladies, you guys don't understand that the reason why men cover all bills is because you wear his last name. That's why most men, or the vast majority of men, would cover bills back in the day. And then once again, I've touched on this before in previous shows. A lot of women, you all who want men to just pay bills and take care of you, once again, you had to be wearing his last name for him to do that. And you had to understand that back in those days when those rules were made, women were not allowed to vote, they were not allowed to work. So times have shifted, times have changed, because you have women, once again, you got women now, I've said this on previous shows, you got women now who are making more money than men are. Women are allowed to work in corporate America. Back in the days when men took care of all the bills, what was happening was the only 2 jobs I can think off the top of my head that women were allowed to work was, well, actually 3, was housekeeping nurse, or teacher. Those were about the only three jobs women were allowed to have back in the days when men covered all the bills. But now that you're allowed to work, ladies, that's something I feel a lot of you all need to ease back off of. Well, kind of just let go of, but ease off of it because I hear a lot of y'all say, and I don't think some of y'all know. This is what we're gonna talk about in our next show. I don't think that many of you all know how much power is in the tongue when you speak things. And when you keep speaking, you're independent, you're independent, you're independent. Go look up what independent means. You don't need service or help from a man if you're independent. And the more you keep saying that, the more you're going to believe it. And trust me, this is speaking from experience, not by saying independent, but by speaking things in existence. You might have luck with a man or two here and there, but it's not going to work for the long haul. Because you spoke it, you were convinced of it, and the more you speak it, the more it's going to keep happening to you. But a lot of you all ladies who want men to cover the bills, take care of this, and do that for you, make sure you're wearing his last name. I can't stress that enough. Especially in the dating. A lot of you all, a lot of women who are here talking like that, I know you guys get from social media and movies and TV and all this other stuff, but it's not always reality. A lot of those times when you see that on social media, it's just for the click, the likes, the comments, and that's it. And for you to subscribe. That's really all it's for. Most of the time, those are not real live stories that are happening. And fellas, when you all feel that okay, you want to pay a woman's bills, I'm not saying you don't have. I'm not saying you have to or you don't have to. Fellas, if you feel like you just gotta, give them the money for whatever reason, hey, if that's the way it works for y'all. Once again, one rule don't fit all. One way of living don't fit all. But that's what works for y'all. Hey, keep doing it. Because again, and fellas, this is hopefully the answer to y'all question is a lot of you all feel like you want a woman who has a lot of the characteristics of your mother, who can fill the gaps your mother used to have. Okay, cool. Now, fellas, some of y'all who stop me, you guys want a woman who's a housewife. And this is just, again, speaking when I met this guy at the mall, and come to find out the woman he's with, she don't want to be a housewife. And it's funny how how I was talking to me out loud. I was letting them, share how they felt and give me as much of their history, as much as what they wanted me to know. They were spilling a lot. But come to find out, he wants a woman that can fix him dinner, fix him breakfast, iron his clothes, the old school way. He works and let her stay at home. But guess what? I found out right then and there. I wanted to go live with both of them, but she didn't want to be on camera, and they were kind of in a rush trying to finish up their shopping and stuff because she was coming, like I said, from the store. But I'll say this. The man wanted a stay-at-home wife. She didn't want to be one. So that right there in itself says it all. When you want to be the worker, the breadwinner, bring home the bacon, whatever you want to call it, and your woman doesn't want to, and she doesn't want to work, then move forward with her after you do, the credit history. I mean, move forward and marry her, or move forward, be with her with a purpose. Dating or be committed for a purpose. But, however, fellas, if your woman wants to work, and let's say you do have a child together, let's say you don't. A lot of times, in some cases, you do have a child who's involved. When your woman wants to work, that doesn't mean let her go because, you want to stay at home wife. No, there's just ways you have to, again, it's about respecting each other's ways, each other's wishes, and then filling the gap. Like, again, that's why I keep using Barack Obama, because he wasn't the breadwinner. I think he said he wasn't the breadwinner for the first 10 years of their marriage or something like that. Michelle was. President Barack Obama was, I think he was going through school, whatever he was doing, but they did what worked for them. So once again, when you're doing what works for you, then you got to go ahead and just, pace yourself, and you got to go ahead and find, this works for you. Okay, once again, don't try to be mom, don't try to be your siblings, don't try to be your friends. And then understand that if you want somebody who's going to be a working husband and bring home the bacon, make sure that's what he wants to be. And fellas, once again, in closing, If you want a woman who's going to be a stay-at-home mom, make sure while you're dating, while you're talking to her, while you're communicating, make sure that's what she wants to be. Once again, Chaos Conversation. Check us out on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and also here on YouTube. And then once again, we appreciate all y'all tuning in. Feel free to like, subscribe, comment, share. And we'll see y'all next time. Peace.